Hello, data users. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Joseph, and I want to take you through how to use R Studio for programming, right? So basically, how to be an R programmer, right? And we're gonna go through the basics till advanced level programming in R right on this channel, social data analysis, right? So we're gonna go straight to it. Now, why should you use R, right? I want to give you two main reasons why you should use R. First of all, R is an open source data analytics software or an open source statistical software. It means that you don't need a license to use R programming. That is cool, right? You don't have to purchase a license like you will do in Stata or other types of data analytical softwares. So that is great. Now, secondly, R has a lot of packages embedded with several functions that would help you reach almost every statistical goal that you want to reach when it comes to data analytics or doing statistics, and that is amazing. So you should learn how to use R if you are in the data space or you're doing research and then you have to analyze some data or you need to use statistical analysis for testing your hypothesis. R programming is great, right? Now, to use R, you need to go through the the setup. First of all, now you need to download R Studio, and you could check this website out. You can just type the R project, and then it takes you straight to this website where you can download the R Studio for R programming. Now on your left hand side, you see this crown here, right? The comprehensive R archive network. It has several tons of links for downloading R. Now you would want to go to the location closest to you, right? And in this case, I'm going to go to the United States because I'm in the United States, and you want to check out the location closest to you. I'm in Washington, right? So probably Washington University is closest to me, right? So you click on it, and then um, you check out what your operation system is. I'm using Windows, so I would wanna choose R for Windows, and I would go ahead and install R programming, right? So right here, you can install R onto your computer, run it, and then you're gonna have R Studio. But I already have this, so I'll go straight to the R Studio and then teach you how how to use R programming. So when you download the software, that is how the interface is going to look like. R Studio looks like this. Now, R Studio has four parts, so let's go through it quickly. The first part you see on top here, right, whilst where I'm typing some stuff, is the source. So the source is where you're gonna feed your software with data. You're gonna feed it with this information for a particular task, and R is gonna calculate it or do the work for you. So for example, if I was interested in using R as a basic calculator, like if I was interested in 2 plus 2, I'm going to key in 2 plus 2 inside the source. Now, after I key in 2 plus 2, I want to click run, right? I want to tell R to run the information I have here, the data I have here. So if you click run, then what you have is the answer for 2 plus 2 inside the console. So wherever the feedback comes to is the console, right? So it's input, output, garbage in, garbage out, garbage in through the source, garbage out through the console. It's as simple as that. Now on your top right corner, you have the environment. The environment is where R stores the data set, the variables, and the objects that you create in R. So before I opened R Studio for today, previously I was using R to analyze some data. This data is called VDEM data. It's a political science data for a political science data that analyzes democracy, right, in countries all over the world. I was using this data set. So it's stored inside my environment, right? So you have the data set here. And this X, you have the X and why you have here are objects that I've created in R. I'm going to take you through how to create objects. Now, on the right bottom hand side, you have a section for the plots that we're going to create, the packages that we want to use in R. Every package is here, right? All the packages inside R is here, but there are several other packages that are not inside the default R Studio, and we are going to learn how to download packages, right? These are some of the packages that are in R. I have downloaded more packages into R, and yeah, you could search packages using this section and so on and so forth. So these are the four basic parts of R. If I click the data set is going to load inside the source, right? But you can open several different tabs as you can see here. So if I was interested in doing something with R, right? Like I'm a beginner fresh, I would want to create a new script, right? So now on the top left corner, you have this thing they call here a new file, right? If I click the new file, it's gonna ask me, it's gonna give me the chance to say, well, yeah, do you want to start creating a new script in R? I'll choose yes. Now it's always good to work inside a script and save the script, because any other time that you want to use the same codes or you want to run the same code, you don't have to start over and over again, right? So I'm going to open a new script and I'll just go ahead and save my script. So I'll just click Control S like we do in with like Control S like we do everywhere, and then just go ahead and then save it somewhere, right? I'm gonna probably save it in downloads here and say my new R script, right? My new R script, and save it, right? So anytime I wanted to, and anytime I want to use information from this particular script, I'm going to load it and then just run the code, right? Let's go ahead to use R for the first time. So R can be used as a simple calculator, right? The very basics of R is simple arithmetics, right? If I'm interested in, for example, 2 plus 2, if I run 2 plus 2, R can give me the information. The answer is 4. Super simple stuff, right? If I'm interested in division, I'll use a forward slash, right? Sorry, I'll use a forward slash, and then R gives me the information. It's as simple as that. If I'm interested in, for example, multiplication, I'm going to use the star sign, and R can do this simple basic mathematics. So starting from here, you already into programming. So you can also use R for like modulo operation. For those who are not familiar with modulos, a modulo is the remainder of a division operation. So for example, if I wanted to find out the modulo of 5 and 2, if I run 5 and a double percentage sign, which is a sign for using modulo in R, I should get 1, right? So you can use R for basic arithmetics, and then that is very simple stuff that you can do in R. Now, before we leave, let's talk about variables and objects. They are very important in R. It's sort of part of everything, and I want to take you through that so that the next time we can pick up from object and start with some real coding, right? So an object or a variable, right? Researchers will probably use the word variable. I would call it an object, but it's basically a concept that stores a value, right? So a variable stores a value. It can be like 4, it can be 6, it can be man, it can be woman, it can be anything, right? That that is stored into this thing called variable or object. Now in R, everything is stored into an object. So anytime you hear object, you're talking about a variable. R calls it an object. So in R, everything is stored into an object, such that if you wanted to use that particular information, you would have to call the object that was stored into it. So for example, I want to do the same basic um, arithmetic that I did before, but this time I'm going to store it in an object. So what you do is, for example, I want to store information into an object called X. I'm going to call X and then call this less than sign with a hyphen. In anytime that you want to store some information inside an object, you're going to use this particular arrow sign here that you create with a less than sign and a hyphen. And I'll just go ahead and say 2 plus 2, right? Now I'm going to store the result of 2 plus 2, which is 4, inside an object called X and run it. So now if I run it, I don't get 4. I'm only told that R has stored the result of 2 plus 2 inside X. So anytime I call X, R is going to give me 4. So I'm not going to use 2 plus 2 again so far as I have X. I can always call X and R would give me the result of X. Now, R also gives you the chance to overwrite an object. So if I wanted to store a new information inside our variable called X, for example, 10 minus 2, now the result of X is no more 2 plus 2, but the result of X is 8, which is 10 minus 2. So if I call X, it's going to give me 8, right? So R uses these objects throughout because we're going to go into a lot of coding, using a lot of functions, and you can't type everything again anytime you use that particular code or that particular function. You have to store it into an object. Now, this is where we're going to end for today. Check out the next video where we take it from objects and then we talk about other things in R. We're going to talk about vectors, we're going to talk about matrices, and everything else that you need to know about R. This is going to be your number one stop channel for learning how to use R. All right. Bye, folks.